Intimidator cars. No, they gave bags. These old people, they have these old black bags. They're called they're black. They're black bags. If people drive around and look at them, it gets real like, hey, it's time people look. And then that's when to tell people it's time to get to temple.
Well, you need to listen to your attorney, right?
Yeah, you need to get to temple because you need to get going because it's called intimidator bags.
So, Ms. Carruthers, are you okay? Or do we need to take a minute?
Take it. Take it.
All right, we're going to call a recess.
Take it.
If you would escort your down into holding.
Over here, honey. You're okay. You're okay. Okay, baby. You're okay.
Much to the ire of taxi companies, Uber was founded in 2009 and offers regular, everyday people an opportunity to make a few extra bucks by giving total strangers a ride or bringing them their Baconator. Nearly anyone with a car can pick up their phone, select a requested fare, and be on their merry way, just a little bit better off than they were when they started. Imagine a mundane existence. You're an insurance adjuster with a wife and kids, the picket fence, the whole nine. Your life, to you, is all right, but it's just missing something. What do you think compels and drives you? A misanthropic, middle-aged psychopath shows violence. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is Honkin' Load, and welcome to today's insane case. A broken, deranged man literally hell-bent on causing as much harm as he could, as quickly as possible. Today, I bring you the case of the man dubbed the Uber Killer, Jason Dalton. Today, we're traveling to the crystal waters of the Kalamazoo River to, well, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Kalamazoo boasts a population of roughly 75,000 people. 75,000 people living and working together every day in good old American dream harmony. Crime in the city is, unfortunately, an expected occurrence. And in 2016, Jason Dalton would brand the city with one of its worst crimes on record, putting Kalamazoo in the headlines of the national news media.
Kalamazoo is in mourning, looking for answers after 6 people were killed and 2 others injured in a shooting rampage on Saturday night.
On the night of February 20th, 2016, a series of random shootings took place in an apartment complex, a car dealership, and outside a Cracker Barrel in Kalamazoo. 6 people were killed and 2 others were injured. Early the next morning, police detained a 45-year-old Uber driver, Jason Dalton. Dalton was charged with murder, assault, and criminal firearm use after taking a passenger on a reckless and terrifying ride and ending the lives of 6 innocent people and leaving 2 women with a physical and mental battle to fight. Not much is known about Dalton's early life, but he was raised in Greenfield, Indiana, and went to middle and high school in nearby Charlottesville. He attended Comstock High School in Kalamazoo, graduating in 1989. He then attended Kalamazoo Valley Community College and graduated in December of 1992 with an associate degree in law enforcement, though he did not enroll in the school's police academy program. Dalton got married to his wife Carol in 1995, and the pair had 2 children together who were aged 10 and 15 at the time of his murderous rampage through the streets of Kalamazoo. He filed for divorce proceedings shortly after. Dalton was generally described as a nice guy and a good family man. However, neighbors reported that he had been acting paranoid and depressed in the days leading up to the murders, though people he worked with described him as having odd behavior at times. It was odd behavior, said Mark Cottingham, owner of Visions Car and Truck in Cooper Township. He would get worked up so fast then mellow out, oh, I'm sorry. Then he'd go back to, it was like dual personality almost. According to an old friend of Jason's, he tried to get a job as a police officer in Michigan or other nearby states, but was unable to. He wasn't interested in moving to further states to seek jobs there. Instead, he studied auto body work at Wyotech in Laramie, Wyoming, and found work at a BMW office in New Jersey at one point, where he worked as a mechanic, and later an insurance adjuster. Neighbors of Dalton, while shocked that he was the murderous perpetrator, described him often shooting guns in the backyard. Quote, I used to think, wow, someone's sure burning up a lot of money with the amount of gunfire I would hear. In 2016, Dalton began picking up extra work by utilizing Uber. After passing all background checks, he began taking fares and giving rides. Jason Dalton had no criminal record, and police say he only had a few traffic violations over a handful of years. Nothing that would indicate that he would, just 2 weeks later, go on a 4-hour killing spree, resulting in 6 dead and 2 injured. However, Dalton claims that at the time, the Uber app was controlling him and would not turn off. He said it would keep him awake for more than 24 hours at a time, and it would flash at him, quote, really hard, unquote. Which I think is total bullshit.
911?
Yeah, my name's... I just got passed by a silver Traverse going southbound on Douglas. Probably every bit of 100 miles an hour. He was in my lane of traffic and then driving in...
Did you get the plate, sir?
No, he passed me so fast.
Okay, southbound on Douglas at where?
Headed past North Ave, headed towards Kalamazoo.
So southbound Douglas at North?
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you know.
High, every bit of 100 miles an hour.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
911.
Yeah, I was just driving down West Main, heading towards 131 from downtown.
Uh-huh.
There was a man going roughly 70, 80 miles an hour, weaving in and out of both lanes of traffic.
Where are you at now?
I am just about to pass Howard Street, still heading towards 131.
And you're on West Michigan?
West Main.
Okay, West Main and Howard don't run into each other.
Excuse me, I will find the proper road here. I'm about to cross it.
All right, but you're on West Main, though?
I'm on West Main, yes.
Okay. And is the car still in sight, or is it gone?
It is gone to what I can see. It was extremely erratic behavior.
What kind of car was it?
It was a gray SUV. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps a Ford, but...
Okay, but you don't see it any longer?
No, I did not see it longer. They were going so fast, keeping up to like 140 or at 45 miles an hour.
Sure, I got you. Did you get a license plate by any chance, or anything else on it?
Nope, unfortunately I did not, sir.
No problem. We'll put it out to the officers, okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
In the afternoon of February 20th, 2016, Matt Mellon was picked up at around 4:20 p.m. after using Uber to request a ride to his friend's house. Though the ride started as any other mundane Uber trip, this one ride would unleash 8 hours of terror in the streets of Kalamazoo. Shortly after the ride began, Dalton received a phone call, and after the call ended, he, quote, started driving crazy, end quote. He was swerving erratically all over the road, and at one point entered an oncoming traffic lane, drove through a median strip, and sideswiped another vehicle as he hurled down the road, recklessly putting lives in the hands of fate. Mellon begged Dalton to stop and slow down, but was ignored. And when Dalton stopped the vehicle at a stop sign, Mellon jumped out of the car and frantically dialed 911.
111.
County emergency.
Hi, I'd like to report a crazy driver. I just got an Uber to my friend's house, and on the way there, he was driving neurotic down West Main. He hit a car. He drove through the woods, and I finally just jumped out.
Where's this at? Where are you at?
I'm on Huron Street, off Nichols.
Okay.
I got his license plate number when I jumped out of the car.
Where'd you jump out of the car at?
No, I mean, he stopped because I was like, this is my destination, this is my destination. So I got out of the car, and it was like a block from where my actual destination was, but I just had to get out of the car. because I was scared. He was driving 50, 60 miles an hour. He hit a car. He drove through the median, and it was crazy.
Okay, and this happened on West Main?
Yeah.
Drove through what median?
Well, when we tried to go right onto Nichols, you know how it kind of, there's that yield sign, and there's that big patch of grass. He drove through that.
Okay, just a second. Let me get you a right place, okay? Stay on the line.
Yeah.
This Nichols area.
We got about a mile from my house, and he received a telephone call. It was over the Bluetooth inside the car, so I could hear kind of the conversation. He stated that he had a rider in the car and that he would call them back immediately after he had dropped me off. Once he hung up with that phone call is when he started driving really erratically. He was running red lights at that point, squealing the tires. We ran a stop sign and sideswiped another vehicle. And that's when I obviously was panicking.
Did you say anything to him?
Yeah, I was pleading for him to stop the vehicle so he could let me out. He was surprisingly calm the whole time. He was just stating that he was like, "Don't you want to get a ride to your friend's house? Don't you need a ride?" And I was like, "Yeah, please just pull over and let me out." At that point, he refused to stop.
So he was calm. He didn't
driving really erratically.
He didn't seem agitated or anything like that. He was calm, even though he's driving very fast and erratically.
Yeah, exactly.
Barely 15 minutes after picking up Mellon, Dalton had returned to his home. Sometime later, he phoned his wife, asking her to give him the keys to her vehicle, likely to avoid law enforcement recognizing the vehicle he had blazed a terrifying warpath with in the hour previous. They agreed to meet at his parents' house, which was approximately 10 miles away. He loaded up his dog into the damaged Chevy Equinox and headed over. However, on the way to meet his wife, Dalton decided to accept another fare from a woman who requested a ride to pick up her boyfriend from the Richland Township apartment complex. But moments after the rider's request was accepted by Dalton, she texted him with a correction to the address, but was ignored as Dalton sped recklessly towards the complex that was initially stated as the destination. The woman also attempted to call Dalton, but was again ignored. Once Dalton arrived at the Richland Township apartments, he approached Tiana Carruthers. Carruthers was outside with her daughter, along with several other children, when Dalton asked her if she was someone by a different name. When Carruthers told him that she was not that person, Dalton turned his car around and opened fire on her as she shielded the children, striking and injuring her. Dalton fired approximately 15 rounds at the helpless group. Carruthers lay injured on the ground and survived by playing dead. Due to her heroic efforts, her daughter and the other children were uninjured in the shooting. She was discovered by a neighbor shortly after and, physically at least, made a full recovery.
Where did they shoot at? County emergency.
Are you on the phone?
Yeah. Hello, I need a ambulance police at 5111 High Meadow Drive Department. Please hurry up. Somebody fire shots. Okay, listen, 50. She on the ground. I don't know if she hurt. Okay, ma'am, give me the number again. 5111 High Meadow Drive in front of apartment in Savannah Trace Townhome. Okay, so female's down. She's been shot.
Don't move. Don't move.
Don't move.
Okay,
where's the person that shot her? I don't know. The car sped off, please. Okay, ma'am, we're going to get the people going there, okay? I just need you to stay on the phone so I can get further, okay? Okay. Yep. Okay,
I believe it's happening out here. Please don't move. Please don't move. They coming, okay? Please don't move. We got the kids. Please don't move. Just stay there. Okay, we'll get them. You just calm down. Don't move. We got them. Don't worry about it.
Okay, over on the...
Yeah.
Dalton sped away from the scene, and as he did, he finally called back the woman he had been ignoring, the one that requested the ride to the complex initially, and informed her that he would no longer be able to take the request as, quote, something had come up. Just after speeding away from the crime scene, Dalton ran a red light and struck a vehicle. He then fled the scene of the collision and continued to his parents' house, where he met his wife and children. He explained to his wife that a disgruntled taxi driver had sideswiped him in an attempt to explain the damage to his Chevy Equinox. He told his wife that the taxi driver fired a gun at him, angry that Dalton was taking business away from taxi companies as an Uber driver. He then gave his wife a 9mm Taurus handgun, exclaiming to her that it wasn't safe at the house without it. He demanded that she not go to work and not take their children to school. As he drove out with his wife's Chevy HHR, he told her that he couldn't explain what was going on, but that it would be on the news. He called her a couple hours after departing and told her not to call her parents. He returned to his home around 7 p.m. and switched handguns. Shortly before 8 p.m., he left and continued to take Uber requests without incident. When these passengers were later questioned by authorities, none of them had noticed anything alarming about Dalton or the rides they were given. Around 10 p.m., Dalton arrived at a Kia dealership in Kalamazoo. He approached 17-year-old Tyler Smith and his father, 53-year-old Richard Smith, who was accompanied by Tyler's girlfriend. According to her, Dalton asked the two men what they were looking at, and before they were able to answer him, Dalton opened fire on the family, fatally shooting both Tyler and his father Richard. He then left, seemingly to find more innocent victims to terrorize.
(911), where's your emergency?
Hi, we're on Business 94. We passed the Kia dealership, and we just passed with somebody shooting a gun at two people lying on the ground.
Okay, okay. The Kia dealership where?
It's on Business 94 in Kalamazoo. We are pulled into the Burger King, which is a couple businesses down. There's a Tuffy Auto Center. I'm sorry, we're not from the area.
Okay, so you're on Stadium Drive?
We're close to 131.
Okay.
I think it's Stadium Drive.
Okay. Did you see who the person was that was shooting?
No, I just turned because we heard gunshots, and there was a man standing there pointing a gun at two people lying on the ground. We could see the smoke from his gun and hear it as we drove by, and we just pulled in. I don't know, we're probably 150 yards from them. There's an SUV still sitting in the parking lot.
Okay, what color is the SUV?
It's gray.
How many shots did you hear?
How many shots? At least 4.
Heard 4 shots?
Yeah.
All right, and you said the people are laying on the ground still?
We can't see them. There's cars blocking our way, but the SUV that was parked there is still there. It's running with their, brake lights on. The Kia is 4102 Stadium Drive.
Okay, what is your name?
Roughly 10 minutes later, Dalton arrived at a Cracker Barrel location and entered the parking lot. He approached an elderly woman in a white van and asked her a question. As she answered, he fatally shot her before turning to the adjacent vehicle that contained 4 other victims and opened fire on them as well. The entire shooting only lasted 1 minute, and once over, Dalton fled the scene and returned home. Victims included 60-year-old Mary Jo Nye, 62-year-old Mary Lou Nye, 74-year-old Dorothy Brown, 68-year-old Barbara Hawthorne, and 14-year-old Abigail Kopp. All the victims were friends and were at the restaurant together. 14-year-old Abigail was struck in the head by Dalton's gunfire but miraculously survived, thanks to the effort of Barbara pushing her down and shielding her from the gunfire. She was rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Her mother at her bedside was holding her hand as she was kept on life support to preserve her organs for donation. As her mother grieved, Abby gripped her hand. When the doctors asked her to do it again, she responded by repeating the action. She had miraculously avoided fatal brain damage. She underwent a series of surgeries over the next 1.5 years and was eventually able to begin high school on her own in September of 2017. She was, however, the only one of the 5 victims to live. The 4 elderly women died of their injuries, and Dalton's body count was up to 6 kills. This was the end of his 8-hour rampage, and over the next few hours, the entire city was out to find him and bring him to justice.
Southbound or westbound or north? Clear. Over south, eastbound north for picture.
Yeah, we'll go.
Keep your hands out where we can see them! Clear on it. For a moment. Can you take your back
Student registration of DA2696, DA2696. I don't think this is going to be us.
Officers tending to the scene at the Kia dealership were quickly informed of the gunfire at the Cracker Barrel location. The authorities issued warnings of an active mobile shooter in the Kalamazoo area. Using the surveillance system at the Kia dealership, police were able to get a description of Dalton, and witnesses identified Dalton's Chevy HHR. Multiple traffic stops of matching vehicles and investigations into false reports of shooting in other areas of the city allowed Dalton to evade authorities for the time being. Dalton continued to take Uber fares into the early morning of February 21st, as the city was on high alert for the active shooter. Multiple different clients being Ubered by Dalton jokingly asked him if he was the shooter, to which he vehemently denied. They later reported to the investigators that although he wasn't overly nice, nothing alarming happened during these rides. At 12:36 a.m., police initiated a traffic stop of a dark-colored Chevrolet HHR. Inside the vehicle was 45-year-old Jason Dalton. Police removed him from the vehicle without incident. Dalton was donning a jacket he purchased at a gun store in the days prior, and in his back waistband was a handgun. Authorities were in the presence of a man that just ended the lives of 6 innocent people, traumatized 2 strong, heroic women, and shook an entire city in the late evening of February 20th, 2016.
Marley, the day after the February 20th massacre, the accused killer told detectives that he was controlled by the Uber app that he had been using for less than a week. Jason Dalton said the app would not shut off and kept him awake for more than 24 hours at a time, and it would flash at him, quote, really hard. Dalton said something had come into his car and made itself known by making a loud tone. He said it felt like his vehicle was just talking to him, and he felt like he was on fire. Dalton said he felt compelled to accelerate his car, which led him taking one passenger on a bizarre and reckless drive through traffic where Dalton crashed, but left this man alive.
In an article from the Detroit Free Press, they wrote, quote, in a series of interviews with police in the hours after the February 20th shootings, Jason Dalton, 45, blamed the killings on the Uber app, saying his iPhone directed him where to go and when to shoot people. Dalton said he would have gotten in a shootout with police when he was arrested, but the app directed him not to. Police reports detailed, Dalton described the devil figure as a horned cowhead or something like that, and then it would give you an assignment, and it would literally take over your whole body. I know I'm leaning a little heavy on the quotes in this segment, but I want you to hear in his own words the closest thing to a motive that he's ever given. Now, I've been immersed in true crime content for years at this point, and I've seen a lot of people fake insanity. I'm not a doctor, and this isn't a diagnosis, but I think he's a fucking idiot. You'd have to have some level of mental illness to lack the emotional control to keep yourself from gunning down a man and his father in a minivan full of elderly women. If I had to guess, his whitewashed insurance adjuster life with his wife and kids wasn't quite hitting the spot for him. A lot of people hold in emotions and let them out in destructive ways. Competency hearing was held on April 22nd of 2016. Dalton's story of an Uber app, devilman possession, and killing spree shopping list provoked the judge to order an evaluation with the state's Center for Forensic Psychiatry. They deemed him fit to stand trial, and on their recommendation, Kalamazoo County Court District Judge Tiffany Ankley ruled as such. Dalton was facing 16 charges, including 6 counts of murder, 2 counts of assault with an intent to commit murder, and 8 counts of using a firearm during the commission of a felony. Dalton's legal team announced that they intended to seek an insanity plea, and he was scheduled to undergo prolonged evaluation. With tentative trial dates set and his evaluation underway, the city awaited a trial that made it as far as scheduling jury selection. There were multiple delays related to the evaluation not being completed, and his day in court was pushed back multiple times. On January 7th, 2019, almost 3 years after his massacre, Dalton surprised everyone and pled guilty to his array of charges. And in front of a packed courtroom of family members and surviving victim Tiana Carruthers, he hung his head and made his plea. Alone. No one there to support him.
Good morning, gentlemen. This is a time and place set for the trial of the people versus Jason Dalton. Court has been informed that there has been a resolution in this matter. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, Your Honor. We would ask the court to place it on the record here today.
Yes, Judge.
That case, Mr. Williams, if you could state what the agreement is at this time.
Your Honor, there is no sentencing agreement in that Mr. Dalton will be pleading to all counts against him. Those do, as the court knows, comes with a mandatory sentence. However, I believe there's some things Mr. Solis might want to say about the reason.
Mr. Dalton, if you would stand. First of all, is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
Yes, it is.
Court has been advised of your intent to enter guilty pleas as to the various counts of this information. You should be advised that if you do enter such a plea, you will be waiving or giving up certain legal rights. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. You're doing this voluntarily of your own free will.
Yes, I've wanted this for quite a while.
You understand that if you change your mind
On February 5th, 2019, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He is currently serving his sentence in Oaks Correctional Facility in Manistee County, Michigan. Jason Dalton was an unremarkable man with an unremarkable life, trotting through an unremarkable existence. He had no criminal record and nothing exciting ever happened around him. He hid a dark version of himself under a veneer of a middle-class working man. On a cold February night in 2016, he changed the lives of 8 people and their families. Victims gave powerful impact statements at his sentencing, and the pain is palpable through the screen as you watch them. I would like to take the time to admire the bravery and resolve of Tiana Carruthers and Abigail Kopp, who were left both physically and mentally scarred, but continue to power on. I would also like to extend my condolences to the families of Mary Jo Nye, Mary Lou Nye, Dorothy Brown, and Barbara Hawthorne. May they rest in peace. Ladies and gents, my name is Hawken Lone, and I've been a content creator for quite some time now. I very much so enjoy making different kinds of content, and this series is something I'm very excited to bring you. A lot of channels give pretty objective tellings of these stories, minus perhaps a bit of sensationalizing the situations. I want to put forth to you now that I'm going to be putting a lot of subjectivity into these videos. Scum like Jason Dalton have had their day in court, and I intend to reflect the feelings I have about what they've done in these videos. I'm not a journalist, I'm a commentator, and if that's not really your thing, I understand, and I appreciate you making it this far into the video. And that, my surly children, was the case of the Uber killer, Jason Dalton. The YouTube journey for me is starting here, and if you enjoyed the video, tell your friends. I have plenty more on the way that I'm very excited to bring to you. I hate to do it, but I'm gonna do the YouTube classic of asking, if you like the video, like the video. If there is a person, subject, or show you want me to cover, leave it down in the comments and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. I'm Hawken Lone, and until next time, fuck off.